So good morning, everyone. It's so great to be here. I think the strength of peer-to-peer networks for entrepreneurs is so wonderful. I'm in my own one, and those people have become not only my kind of, cheerleaders, if you like, but also it's great to have people who challenge you. Entrepreneurs can create kind of these kind of ecosystems around them, and you think you're enabling your people to challenge you, but actually it's quite hard to challenge the boss sometimes. So to have a peer-to-peer network uh, where your friends, you can't fire your entrepreneurial friends, so they can be as challenging as they like on your thinking. And so I think the power of what Pete set up is just awesome here. So, and it's great to be here. I'm Liz Jackson. I mentioned earlier, I'm the sales and marketing director here at a brilliant business called BCMS. I'm one of four people who lead the company. We're a corporate finance firm. And so to have two women and two men leading the business is incredible, actually, in our sector. It's not usual. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the business as we go. But Pete asked me to talk about adapting and thriving in life, and so I thought I'd just tell you a bit about my life, and draw out how I've adapted through the ups and the downs, and how that's enabled me to thrive, if you like. So if you imagine a timeline, a graph with lots of ups and downs going across it. I'm just going to talk about my childhood, and that would be an up. So I start right up here with a joyful childhood, born to great parents, grew up in Kent, born on the Isle of Sheppey, which if you haven't heard of that place, most people have got webbed feet there, actually. it's one of those kinds of communities. But I was born and raised in Kent. Really happy childhood. I wasn't born blind. I had some challenging eyesight condition, which was called retinitis pigmentosus, which means that I had tunnel vision and night blindness. But apart from that, I had a very normal childhood, went to an ordinary school, moved to Hampshire with my dad's job when I was 11. And I guess then the chart would go down a bit. I didn't really enjoy secondary school at all. In Kent, they'd had a policy of excluding disabled people from school. So even though my disability was very minor, the county council wanted for me to be in a boarding school for children with severe disability, and because blindness was seen as the most severe disability, I would have been in a school with people with very severe issues. And so mum and dad fought to keep me in school, which meant I had to do things like learn to type in class and all sorts of things like that. And as a child, you don't like being different, do you? But so when we moved to Hampshire, they had an inclusion policy, which was great. But I didn't want anyone to know I had bad eyesight, which my school teachers or no one was allowed to know that. And so that led to quite a lot of disruption, because I needed to hide the fact I had that poor eyesight. It wouldn't happen today, but it did then. And so I was very disruptive, spent most of my time standing outside a headmaster's office, and was suspended from school just before I left. So then I went to college, did retakes. So I mean, the picture is academically did not do very well. The joy for me, and this is where the chart would go right up again to being super happy, was when I got a YTS placement. So the college put me into an apprenticeship with a local company, and I had the opportunity to work for this incredible entrepreneur. And he'd sold 2 previous companies before, so he was very successful. And I remember my mum dropping me off for this interview. And she dropped me off because I don't think she thought I'd go. And I got out the car to go and sit in front of my my then boss, and I sort of did the best I could to pitch this idea to him that if he didn't hire me, it'd be the worst mistake of his life, because I thought, if I don't get this job, people are going to start to think I'm a bit of a failure. The one thing I didn't mention is the only GCSE I did get was drama. So anyway, I pitched this idea to him, and at the end of the interview, he said, "Look, I don't need to think about this. Will you join my business on Monday?" And so I got the job. And so if any of you don't think drama GCSE is worth it, then it certainly got me my first job. And working for an entrepreneur was incredible. And so one of the things that he had, a gifting that he had that I cover, I think I'm quite good at today now, but is he was able to identify raw talent in somebody. And he noticed very quickly that I was quite good at customer service and at people, soft skills. And he said, "Do you know what? I think you might be really good at selling. Would you like to have a go at helping me build this business?" And so he described to me what sales was. He told me more about what we did as a firm. And my job then was telemarketing, getting on the blower, making 100 calls a day and booking appointments for him. And actually, I was really good at it really quickly. 17 years old, so I was a bit nervous, but drama GCSE really helped as well, because, pumped up my confidence, pretended I was as important as the managing directors I was ringing. And my job, we were an export consultancy, so my job was to get sales appointments for him, and I got lots. And he was a brilliant salesman, and he got loads of he converted those appointments into deals, and the business grew. And at 22, I got to go and work in the States. So I was there for first 5 years of my career. Then I went to work in Chicago, built a sales team over there, got back at 25, and thought, I've had this amazing career working for this incredible entrepreneur. And like probably a lot of you, we outsourced work. And I've noticed a few marketing people in this group. We outsourced work to marketing agencies, and I was a bit underwhelmed. And I thought, I really think I could do a better job. And I've loved working for an entrepreneur, but I'd like the idea of building something for me. So this kind of gem of an idea started to seed, and then the kind of the courage came as I shared it with, blood relatives, mum and dad and things. And they were, of course, very supportive. And then I went to see the bank manager, who was not supportive. He did let me open a bank account, but nothing more than that. So I couldn't raise any debt. And I went to see my boss, and I said, "Look, I've loved working for you, but I want to start my own thing. It's going to be a marketing agency. We're going to be doing this. What do you think?" And he said, "Liz, you'll be brilliant. And I'll tell you what, we'll become your first client." And I'm, forever grateful for that moment when he said that. And yeah, so that was great. I couldn't get the bank to loan me any money, or anyone else. I don't come from money, so I didn't have rich people around me who could loan me money. But I did go and see the Prince's Trust. And if you've ever had anything to do with that organisation, it is an incredible charity that supports young people in starting companies, and provides a mentor, which was so helpful to me. And they gave me £1,000. So there was a gift of £1,000, and there was a grant of £4,000. And I was able to start the business in my sitting room, in my flat that I shared with my friend. And I mean, so just to sort of cut a very long story short, that business grew at about 75% a year for probably the first 5 years. Very fast growth. I remember opening a garage at one point because we outgrew the living room, and putting a logo on the door that said Great Guns Marketing Corporate Headquarters. We had 8 people working in the garage, and then we grew to offices, and in the end we franchised the business. We had 18 franchisees across the country, 100 people based at the Square in Basingstoke. I got loads of wonderful opportunities to do some exciting things. Did Secret Millionaire, met the Queen, got an MBE, spoke at all sorts of conferences with all sorts of people in all sorts of parts of the world. And it was a wonderful adventure and an amazing place to grow up, actually. You know, from sort of 25 for 17 years, it was brilliant. And it's with hindsight, I wish I knew then what I know now. What I hadn't done was built a business that was saleable. And so the business was sold, but it was sold in administration. And I have to say, if I was looking at my timeline now, this is when it would crash right to the earth, because that was the worst thing that has ever happened to me, losing a business. From losing my sight the year I started the company, that was a breeze. My son almost dying when he was born, that was tough, but it was nowhere near as tough as losing a business. And the reason why is because losing the business was my fault. And for a leader to have to do that, you know, if we enjoy the benefits of leadership, then we have to take responsibility for the failures. And standing up in front of a group of people and telling them that we couldn't continue trading and that the business was going to be sold was a really, really tough thing. I mean, we made it through. We also took on a load of personal debt because there was a load of suppliers that have become friends. I'm a very relational person, so business for me has always been very relational. So we lost the house that we had. We took on hundreds of thousands of pounds of personal debt. So we didn't walk away from it happily. And it took a long time to recover. And it took a long time for me to build up my confidence again, you know, because you walk away from that and the first thing you think is no one will employ me. You know, no one will want me. And it was a really tough thing to overcome. But I did. And one of the things I did was consult. So I did consultancy. I was very blessed. If you treat people well, actually people treat you well. And so I was in full-time work consulting 5 days a week for different companies, pretty much within 2 weeks. And my whole team had jobs within 24 hours because we recruited brilliant people and people wanted them. So I consulted, and one of the companies I consulted for was BCMS. I started off doing a day a week for them, and I found this amazing business that focused on helping entrepreneurs build businesses that were buyable. You know, help them understand, you know, what buyers want, what makes a business. You know, when you decide that you want to not do this business anymore, or you lose your energy or your passion for it, you know, this business made sure that, you know, the business could be moved on into other people's hands. It delivered choice and it did it for maximum value, so you could, you know, have the money to go on and create the next adventure. And you can imagine for me that it became just so incredibly vocational. I absolutely loved it, but I was doing all sorts of other things as well. But that 1 day a week grew to 2 days a week, grew to 3 days a week. And then I was offered the job as global marketing director. And then I was asked to join the leadership team. We had an interesting pandemic. I'm sure if you imagine what might have happened to business sales in lockdown at the beginning of 2020, I can tell you that buyers pulled away from buying companies, and sellers certainly needed to focus on making it through. So business sales dropped off, and our business needed to adapt at that time, and we did. And actually, we've emerged out of the pandemic a much stronger business. We downsized quite significantly, but today we're 30 people here in Kingsclere. We do about 10 to 15 deals a year, and the joy of what we did was actually, so last June, we bought our business off of the founders. So for a long time, this business, it was founded by a family, but the four of us have been running it for the last 4 years. And we approached the family and asked to buy the business, but we didn't want to buy it just the 4 of us. We wanted to buy the business as the 30 of us, because we'd made it through together. And it was so great. So we became employee owned last year. So I'm one of 30 co-owners. And we also last year had our most successful financial year in 33 years. So it's, it's an exciting place to be. Now, the thing is if you then look at that chart, that lifeline, it goes up and down. And you could say, well, had you not decided to start a company, you wouldn't have lost it. So why don't you just get a job? Or had you, not decided to get pregnant, then your son wouldn't have, all the decisions we make in life, the times we step out of our comfort zone, we can often, succeed and then we can fail. And actually most of the successful people I work with, and we only sell companies that are worth more than £10 million. So our entry rate, if you like, is 10 million, but most of the deals we do are between 20 and 100 million. And I can tell you that most of the entrepreneurs we work with in that cohort have walked very thin lines between success and failure. And there is often just an inch between them. And there is also this need to step outside of it. It's how you deal with failure. That is a really interesting bit. Now, so my graph could have been a straight line. I could have, stayed happy as a child and got all the way through to the end, but I wouldn't have learned. If you imagine an up and down lifeline as a cycle track, and going up and down hills, you get fit, don't you? And so our successes don't necessarily get us that fit. Actually, it's our failures. It's when you reach the bottom and you've got to climb back up that get us fit. So there's something that I do around goal setting that really helps me. And there's an attitude that you need to do it as well. And I've been saying this for years and years. And I was brought up in a home where my mum used to say, count your blessings. And later on, I found a faith, and that became part of my mantra as well. So every morning I pray about the things that I'm thankful for. Now, if you want to look up gratitude and business and look at the science that supports gratitude and success and well-being, you'll find heaps and heaps and stuff because it's scientifically proven now that gratitude helps you become much, much more resilient. So I start the morning every day thinking about the things I'm thankful for. I start off with my kids, of course, amazing children. I've got 2 kids, 16 and 12. I'm thankful for the business. Absolutely love working here. I can't imagine being part of a more talented, wonderful group of people serving some incredible people. Thankful for my husband, who's a really good looking bloke, so he says anyway. And the thing is when you start to think about the things you're thankful for, I can truly tell you that you kind of walk out the door a bit taller. You walk into the office with a different spring in your step. And so am I getting to the end of my time?
Yeah, I was literally like poised. A couple of minutes, Liz, and then
all right. I'm not going to be able to tell you about grow goals, but
I don't want you to stop.
No, I know it's been like, oh,
no, that's fine. We can talk about it another time. But one of the key things for me is setting grow goals, and I do that across the business in my team for myself. Tony Robbins has got a load of stuff on that. Again, just go into YouTube and type that in, and you can always ask me questions. I'm on LinkedIn, so do drop me a note there. But I'm going to finish with just a couple of 3 pieces of advice, if I may. It'll take me 2 minutes. And my first piece of advice is, whatever you do in life, don't be a nearly man. A nearly man are the annoying people you sit next to you sometimes, and I hate to say it, sometimes at a business dinner, and they bore you stupid with the things they've nearly done in life. You know, we nearly bought a boat, we nearly sailed around the world, we nearly did this, we nearly, you know, and you just get more frustrated and you think, but you've done something and you've just wasted, you know, 5 minutes of my life. And it's super frustrating. You know, you get one shot at life and it goes fast. So just, you know, grab hold of opportunities and give it a go and learn through the failures. Second piece of advice, don't rely on luck. There isn't such a thing. You know, if you work hard and you're an opportunist and you grab them and you go for it, then hard work, it meets opportunity is where success comes. It's nothing to do with luck. You make your own luck. And it's funny, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. And my last piece of advice is something that Henry Ford said a long time ago, but it's something that my dad actually used to say to me a lot. And it's, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right. So I hope that I've stuck to not ruin the time too much, Pete.
Mate, you smashed it out of the park.
That was awesome.